All right, today we're going to dive into a pretty fascinating story. It's about a teacher who took a truly radical step to lock down his financial future. We're talking high fees, a broken system, and one of the most backward sounding career moves you can possibly imagine. And this quote, this is from the man himself, Jerry Bourne, and it just perfectly sets the stage, doesn't it? I mean, think about it. If you're a teacher, a coach, a former D1 athlete, you're wired to compete, to win. Quitting? That's just not in the vocabulary. But what if? What if it's the only way to actually win?
Okay, so let's set the scene. Let's start with the problem. This is Jerry Bourne, a teacher who, like so many public school employees, found himself stuck in a total financial maze when it came to his workplace retirement plan. Now, for those of you who might not know, a 403b is basically the go-to retirement plan in the world of education. It's supposed to be like a 401k, right? It's there to help teachers save for their future. But as Jerry was about to find out, not all of these plans are created equal, not by a long shot.
So Jerry starts digging, he's doing his own research, and he comes to a pretty brutal conclusion. He realizes a lot of the 403b options out there are just loaded with high fees and these nasty surrender charges. He called it a heads I lose, tails you win situation. I mean, the bottom line was he felt the whole system was just rigged against the very teachers it was supposed to be helping. Now, Jerry isn't the kind of guy to just sit back and complain about a problem. Nope, he decided he was going to try and fix the system from the inside. But what he discovered on that journey, well, it was a huge and deeply frustrating wake-up call.
And believe me, he fought this fight for years. We're talking way back in 2002, and then again in 2006. He actually succeeded. He got his school district to add some great low-cost options like TIA CREF and Vanguard. I mean, he was making real tangible progress. So when new IRS rules forced a district to pick a single plan in 2008, it only made sense for him to join the committee, right? To make sure they got it right?
And this right here, this is the moment his frustration just boiled over. After all that work, the brand new plan the committee picked was actually a step backward for him personally. Get this, just the consultant fee on the new plan was more than the entire cost of his Vanguard fund. It's unbelievable.
So just picture that for a second. After years of fighting for better, cheaper options, the end result is a plan that's going to cost him more money, and it gets rid of the very providers he fought so hard to bring in. That's when he realized, you know what? He was never going to be happy with a plan picked by a committee. It was time to take matters into his own hands. Okay, so this is where the story takes a really sharp, unexpected turn. He's frustrated, he's out of normal options, and then Jerry discovers a loophole, a solution that was, well, pretty much unthinkable. So seriously, what would you do? Put yourself in his shoes for a minute. The system you poured your energy into improving just backfired, and now it's even worse for you. Your life savings are basically being held hostage in a plan you think is terrible. What's the play? He quit. It's that simple and that radical. Both he and his wife quit their jobs, and not because they were miserable or hated their work. No, they quit to pull off a financial masterstroke. It sounds totally insane, I know, but it was all built around one very specific, very powerful rule.
So how on earth does this even work? Well, it all hinges on an IRS rule about something called a triggering event. And for these 403b plans, one of those triggers is a severance from employment, which is just a fancy way of saying you leave your job. Think of it like a key. Quitting his job was the key that unlocked his 403b money, finally giving him the freedom to move it all into a low-cost rollover IRA that he was in complete control of. So the big question, right? Did this absolutely bonkers strategy actually pay off? Oh, you better believe it did. The results were, well, they were staggering. This wasn't some minor victory, it was a total game changer for his finances. First things first, he managed to free up over $300,000 from that restrictive 403b. And really, this was about more than just the money. It was about taking back control. He finally got to move his own life savings into a great low-cost Vanguard IRA, putting himself firmly in the driver's seat. But wait, there's more. Quitting also opened up a different retirement account, something called a 457 plan. And this part is absolutely crucial. That $90,000 in the 457 became their financial bridge. It was the cash they could live on completely penalty-free while they looked for new jobs. And that unlocked the most powerful part of this whole plan. And here is the incredible payoff. Because they had that 457 money to cover their living expenses, they could afford to just shovel almost every single dollar from their new paychecks into retirement accounts. The result? In just 3 short years, they saved an additional $250,000. So quitting didn't just free up his old money, it totally supercharged their ability to save new money. It's amazing.
So, Jerry's story is more than just a wild tale, right? It's really a masterclass in thinking outside the box to solve a financial problem. So, let's break down the actual playbook that he came up with from all this. Okay, so he calls this the park and roll strategy. It's pretty simple. Step 1, if you're stuck in a crappy plan, you park your money in the safest, cheapest option you can find, maybe a fixed account just to stop the bleeding. Step 2, separate. This is the big move, obviously. At some point, you leave the job. And then step 3, roll. You roll all that money over into a much better, low-cost account that you actually control. So, what are the big takeaways from all this? Well, Jerry's journey offers some really hard-won wisdom. First, most workplace plans, they're built for saving, not necessarily for smart investing. Second, you have to be careful with financial advisors. A lot of them are just required to sell you something suitable, not what's truly in your best interest. That's a huge difference. And you have to always ask about the fees. And finally, and maybe most importantly, when you realize the game is rigged against you, well, sometimes you just have to find a different game to play.
And that really brings us right back to the beginning, doesn't it? For Jerry Bourne, doing the one thing everyone tells you not to do, quitting, was the key. It was how he took back control of his money, put his retirement savings into overdrive, and ultimately won the whole game, on his own terms. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What other rules are just waiting to be broken?